Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Canisius Chronicles. I'm Nick Veronica. Today we examine an issue guaranteed to stress students out every semester, class registration. The registration process has changed over the years. Rachel Furshbach takes you through the development.
I traveled to Praxair Incorporated, an industrial gas company, to interview Jennifer White and Christy Ruda, two Canisius College alum, to tell us about their registration process here at Canisius.
The registration process for myself when I was at Canisius, I was there between the years of 1996 and 2000. And a lot of it was going to, I don't even remember the name of the building, to be honest with you. It was next to Old Main. You ended up having to stand in line, choose your classes from a course booklet, write down the information on a course sheet that you wanted to take, and then hand it into the registrar. They would tell you whether or not the classes were available, and then you would get your confirmation listing back.
As for Christy Ruda, she had a different experience registering for classes during her 4 years at Canisius College.
To register for classes as an undergrad at Canisius, the process involved logging into the computer system and, from what I recall, typing in the CRN numbers for the classes that you wanted and submitting them and hoping that you did it quickly enough that you got the classes that you wanted.
Students searched through course booklets to find the classes they would need for registration. These course booklets were available to students at the Students' Records Office in Bagan Hall.
Not much changed. It was pretty much the same process all 4 years. There was still the registration booklet. You still had to fix that, choose your courses from that point forward and write down the registration information and turn in to the registrar, get your confirmation back.
2 years ago, from 2012, the hard copy catalogs were stopped, and an electronic version was only available online to Canisius College students.
At the beginning of my time at Canisius, the options were limited really to like a thick catalog that you had to kind of peruse through and find the classes that you needed, and you could make an appointment with your advisor if you needed to. And I think towards the end, towards my senior year, I think that started to migrate to an online version of that catalog.
There are many resources available to students who are in search for classes during registration time. Today, the Griff Audit gives students an easier access to the classes they need for their majors.
I have no idea what Griff Audit is. Advisors were always available, so you always had that kind of backing to help you decide what courses maybe you needed to take next. I know I used a lot of professors, especially when I was going through a specific course of study. They would kind of guide you and tell you, if you took this one, it's going to help you with this particular area, or if you're looking at this concentration, take these particular classes. I was trying to go for more of an international relations study, and so I used the resources for my professors there to guide me along that path. And students as well. So, I participated in a sorority when I was at Canisius. So some of my sorority sisters who had also gone through the same poli-sci major had kind of helped me and guide me along in terms of what courses I would want to take, professors that were really good, things that they got out of the classes that would help me in my major.
The Griff Audit is a personalized degree requirement summary listing for each individual student requirements in both core, major, and minor. The audit lists out the courses taken and how the courses apply to their requirements, along with classes needed in order to fulfill these requirements.
That was always paper before. It would give you, I remember, and you would get a paper that would list out what you would need in order to graduate, but it wouldn't tell you necessarily specific classes that you needed to take. That was kind of just, here's a book, go find some, right?
With today's technology, registration has become a much easier task for Canisius College students. It allows students to go through the steps of registration online rather than in line at Bagan Hall.
I think it's become a lot more simple today for students to register with the Griff Audit program. I know that you can quickly see what you've already taken and what you might need to take to fulfill all the requirements for your courses.
With a surplus supply of computers and laptops today, registration has become much simpler for students. Jennifer White comments on the pros and cons of today's registration simplicity.
Oh gosh, I can only imagine with technology how it might be very simple in terms of being able to choose courses online or being able to go through that type of process. But it could also be something like eBay, where you're waiting for that clock to hit midnight and waiting to click to see if you get into a class, or like Ticketmaster, right? When you're seeing if you can get a ticket for a concert or something like that. Do you get a seat in this class? I can see how that could be good, but maybe not so good either if you're having problems with the technology or the system. Who do you call when you have had those types of issues, right?
The registration process is always changing and becoming simpler for students each year. I can't wait to see what the future brings us. I'm Rachel Frischbach, signing off for Canisius Chronicles.
Thanks, Rachel. We have Deborah Prone from the registration department with us today to explain how the process works. Hi, Deborah.
Hello.
Deborah, this must be a crazy time of year for you guys, huh?
Yes, it's a busy time when we have a registration cycle.
So now tell us, we hear registration, but you do more than that. Tell us what you do the rest of the semester and the rest of the year.
Okay, the department is actually called Student Records and Registration. We're responsible for all the student records. So the registration, eventually, once your courses are graded, becomes your student record. And we handle the processing of all the transcripts. We handle any kind of grade changes. We schedule all the classes. All the professors design their schedules, and they give them to us, and then we put them in the system so that they're available for students to view to see what's available for a given semester. We handle the exam schedule. We do GRIF audit in our office. We handle the degree audit process. We clear students for graduation. That's an important task that we have in our office, also going on right now at this time of year.
So what part of the job takes up most of your time, would you say?
In our office, or for me personally?
You personally.
For me personally, I'm in charge of GRIF audit. I'm the person who built the entire system and put all the degree requirements in there, and I maintain it, and we handle exceptions for students. If a student is being allowed to substitute one course for another, we handle all of that. As new majors come on, we would add those to the system, or as curricular changes happen, then we would modify the system for that. So that's what takes up most of my time.
Okay. Can you tell us about this year with the new My Canisius setup, how the registration process is different from last year?
Last year was the first year that we used the registration through the portal, and there were some issues. So this year they've designed a way to so you don't have to actually log into the portal first, and then it takes you right to registration. And what you log in there as well, and that's hopefully going to eliminate some of the problems. That we've already seen improvements. We do have people from ITS on hand on Saturday mornings, so that if there are any issues, we don't anticipate any issues, but there always could be problems.
What kind of feedback have you gotten on the new system?
Good, generally. The system is part of the whole attempt to bring a portal to the students, which isn't the ideal thing is to have everything in one place that students can access, so that you don't have to go a lot of places and log in. So, you have access to Angel there, and you have access to email, and you have access to registration. So that's what changed over the last few years, is that you actually go through the portal to do your registration.
Now, college students, we like to complain about a lot of things. Does your department have a way to handle complaints?
Well, generally we hear about complaints right away. Complaints about registration specifically?
Sure.
Well, we handle any kind of complaints that come in right away. I mean, the registrar is very on top of that, and we hear about it. I mean, the phones ring on Saturday mornings if there are issues with registration. So generally, we're dealing with the issues right with the students. So the issues get resolved, the student gets registered. We tell the student where they need to go if they need some kind of special permission to override a prerequisite or something like that.
Now, if there are any problems with the system, do you have any tips for students to maybe avoid problems, or is there anything they can do?
Well, yes, certainly make sure that you check that you don't have any holds before you try to register. Also, make sure that you have the proper number of credit hours to register that particular Saturday. We have students who think they're in one bracket, but they're really not. If you withdraw from a course, or if you fail a course, that's going to bring your number of hours down, and you would not be eligible to register. The other thing is make sure you have your registration PIN. Make sure that you've seen your advisor and you have your PIN so that you're ready to register. So all of those things can help smooth the registration process.
Deborah, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for having me.